Hello, today topic is most important for PhD students, assistant professors and professors, those who are working in research area and willing to publish their articles in Q1 journals, which is classified by the Scopus top 25% journals. So in this video, I'm going to decode the mandatory files for paper submission in Q1 journals. What kind of files required, which mandatory files and some are optional files required to submit a paper in Q1 journals. So in this video, I'm explaining in detail. Please subscribe my channel for more interesting videos. So these are the top publishers elsewhere: Springer, Nature, Valley, Taylor and Francis, what we are calling Routledge journals, MPDI, Sage and Frontiers journals. Now first I want to classify the journals. See, if your study related to environment science related study, I would suggest submit your paper in elsewhere journal instead of Springer, Nature or Sage or Routledge and MPDI. If your study is social science based, sociology based, political phenomena based, anthropology based, public administration, the most preferred publishers is Sage. Sage will easily publish your study. Like if your study is related to environmental issues, climate change, livelihood security kind of thing, and if you are submitting in Sage journal, then it may take time publish or may be rejected. While elsewhere it will easily accept your paper, will consider for the publication. Simultaneously, Springer, Nature basically it is accepted all 17 sustainable development goals. So if your study connected with the SDG, definitely Springer, Nature journals also accept your paper. So these are top world class Q1 category publishers. Similarly, the Valley also and Taylor and Francis, what we are calling Routledge publication house, MPDI and Frontiers. Frontiers journals, they also publishing mostly environmental studies and study aligned with the sustainable development goals. Now the first file which you require to submit in Q1 journal is title. Title page is most important. So mention in title page you need to mention the full title of the manuscript, which should be concise and descriptive, not too enlarged or not too complicated. It should be simple and elaborative. If it is complicated, then audience will not or reader will not understand what kind of study you are going to explain. Second, author details. Mention full name of all author starting from the corresponding author, institutional affiliation, physical address and email address of all authors. Second, corresponding author. First you need to define which is corresponding author, whether it is first author corresponding or second author, and especially mention their contact details, phone number and address. Next, orchid ID, which is most important, as similar as to Aadhaar card. So you need to have all the authors orchid ID. So if they don't have, then create orchid ID and include the submission page. Okay, this will definitely help you to avoiding the desk rejection. And institutional ID, which is most important for all the author, especially corresponding author. So if you don't have a institutional ID, like I'm working in BBAU University, so my email ID would be Surendra Singh @BBAU.ac.in kind of thing. This is nothing but an example. So institutional ID most important part. Nowadays most top class publishers starting from the elsewhere, Springer, Nature, Valley, Routledge, Sage, these people are asking institutional ID instead of Gmail, Yahoo or kind of things. So institutional ID is most important. Maybe if you don't have the institutional ID, you can contact your current employer. He will provide you the institutional ID. Next, manuscript file. So these top Q1 journals are double blind. Double blind meaning that neither reviewer know about the author or neither author knows about the reviewer. Only handling editor will know the who is reviewer, who is author. So make sure there is no mention of author's name in the manuscript. It should be anonymized or blinded, and you need to submit your file either in Word format or LaTeX. Some people they submitted file in PDF form, then editor or editorial assistant again need to send to the authors to revise the submission page and upload either doc file or LaTeX file. And this is like I also try to elaborate the main structure of manuscript. Like in manuscript, first part is title, which is concise. Second, abstract or graphical abstract. Nowadays most of the Q1 journals they are asking graphical abstract. Earlier they are asking only abstract, now they are asking graphical abstract. So use any AI tool and technique to create graphical abstract for your manuscript. Next part is keyword. There should be a keywords for your manuscript or paper related. Up to 3 to 6 keywords are mandatory. You need to mention in your manuscript, main manuscript. Now there should be a structure structure, a formal structure or globally accepted manuscript structure should be there in your main file, like introduction, literature review, methods or methodology, discussion, results and conclusion, and last important, references. I'm coming to reference part also, like references. So use Mendeley software or Zotero software. These two software are very useful, and Zotero is completely free. So for the creation of references, so reference should be as per the general guidelines, and layout and formatting also as per the general guidelines. In majority, one space plus 1 point font size is mostly accepted in all journals. So make it the layout format for your manuscript file, which should be in Word format. Now the cover letter. This is most important part. Address directly to the editor-in-chief or handling editor. And some journals, they also ask who would be your handling editor, whether you are try to submit your manuscript which handled by the chief editor or any associated editor. So keep in mind, if you directly address to chief editor, then chief editor will decide who will assign the manuscript or who will be the handling editor. Now the brief summary, which is most important part. So first part is addressed to the directly either chief editor or handling editor. Second part, brief summary, highlight the core contribution, key findings and novelty of your study. Like people, most of the scholars, what they did, they actually copy paste the abstract, which is completely wrong practice for Q1 journal. So avoid such kind of mistakes. Keep highlight the core contribution, key findings and novelty of study. This is most important. Scope fit, like how your manuscript is aligned with the objectives, aims and scope of the journal. Explain why your manuscript align with the main aim and object of the journal. Most important part next in cover letter, originality declaration. Confirm the work is original, has not been published previously or is under the consideration elsewhere. So like people or mostly researchers, they are doing, scholar especially I would say, and among the scholar I would highlight master's students and PhD students. What they are doing, they simultaneously submitting one paper to many journals. So this will create the conflict, and it will be a high chances, or there will be a high chances of rejection of manuscript if you are submitting one manuscript to simultaneously 3-4 journals. So avoid such kind of mistake to secure or basically avoid the desk rejection. And last, for cover letter, reviewer suggestion, which is most important part. Nowadays all the Q1 journals, they will ask to provide 3 to 5 potential reviewers. Okay, names, institutional emails, their designations of potential reviewers, which is not having the conflict with your manuscript or your study. So again, they also ask conflict of interest reviewer. If you find any reviewer with you have any conflict, either financial conflict, either research related conflict, you need to mention that reviewer name also. So it will help to the handling editor or editor-in-chief process your manuscript as soon as possible. Next important part, the figures. So each and every manuscript you have the tables and figures. So some journals, they ask to basically incorporate all the figure in the main text file, or some publisher or reviewers, they ask to provide separate files for tables and figures. So the most important part, like early career researchers or PhD or master's students, they created figures in Excel, which is having the low DPI. Okay, having the low DPI. Okay, resolution. So there is a mandatory clause in all Q1 journals, at least figure should be 300 DPI. Lower DPI or lower resolution, definitely they reject your manuscript. So most Q1 journals prefer or require figures to be submitted as separate high resolution files rather than embedded solely in the text. Okay, and files should be in JPG format, TIFF format or EPS format, or high resolution PDF file. Okay, so keep in this mind, and minimum DPI should be 300 for figures, either photographs or figures. Now the table, see, in master's student and PhD students, even some professor also make such kind of mistake. They create complicated tables which is hard to understand by reviewers or editor-in-chief. So make sure your table should be concise and self-reflective, and caption is also mentioned for all the tables along with the sources of table, either secondary data or field survey data, whether you are basically incorporated or taken from previously published study. You have to mention the source at end of the table, which is mandatory. Next important part, which is associated with the publication ethics, research data availability statement. So this is common practices across the social sciences, even medical sciences or environmental sciences or any branch of sciences or any related to research. This is happening, and I must admit such kind of malpractices are actually hampering or basically discrediting to the robust research. Like some researchers, they are using fake data, okay, or they are manipulating data, or even in some cases they don't have the data, they just fabricated some figures and put it into the tables and figures. Okay, such kind of malpractices definitely not tolerated by the publishers, especially Q1 category journals. So keep it your raw data as well as the polished data with you, and mention under the data availability statement that data will be made available at reasonable request or whenever it asked by the reviewers, publishers or any individual. Such kind of data availability statement, which is mandatory part of paper submission in Q1 journal. Keep it your raw data, whether your paper published or not or under process. Keep it data for all entire life of your academic career. It will basically protect you any conflict of interest in future, or it also help you avoid the retraction of your paper if anyone complained about your study finding, or maybe he try to basically question your finding. Next important part, declaration and ethics document. Now, because I already mentioned, there are some fake study also published, so ethical approval committee and institutional review committee are also there. Like if you are working in animal sciences or your study related to human health, okay, so ethical approval is most important required, along with institutional review board, or what we are calling publication ethics committee, which is constituted as per the UGC guidelines in each and every either institute is public funded or private organization. So if it is possible, take approval from the publication research and ethics publication review committee or institutional review committee if it is possible. If your study related to such kind of humans behavior, human health, medical sciences, and if it is not possible, so mostly what people are doing, they mention, because they don't have data or such kind of practices they are not adopting. They said or basically they mention in the manuscript that informed consent was taken from the respondent. This is actually like a I would say most common statement in social science research. Informed consent taken by the respondent. Like if you are conducting a study on farmers' perception of climate change and you are conducting a field survey data, okay, so whether you are taking the consent to use their farmers' information to conduct a study, such kind of informed consent statement they basically use, which is somehow in some cases is good practices, but in robust cases I would say informed consent is not like a foolproof to avoid any future conflict of interest if your study breakthrough, or maybe some people criticize or may claim that your study is false. So try to take a videography all sampling procedure, and in written statement you have to take sign all the correspondent or your respondent, so it will help you and preserve all the schedule or questionnaire in your entire academic life. So if anyone is question about your study, you can produce the raw data along with the field schedule and questionnaire. Documents which required for submission of manuscript in Q1 journals. Hope this video lecture will help you in submission of Q1 journals. In next video I will explain about how to create ORCID ID and how to create ResearchGate ID. These two important. ORCID ID is basically required for submission of manuscript in top class publishers like Elsewhere, Springer, Nature, Sage, Frontiers, MPDI. On the other hand, ResearchGate, which is basically a research platform. If you want to create an account in ResearchGate, you need to record a institutional email ID. If you don't have institutional ID, then how you create ResearchGate account? In next video I will try to explain this process. Many students ask, sir, we don't have institutional ID, how we create ResearchGate account? So I will explain these things also. And thank you. If you are like in a stage, then please subscribe this channel. It will basically motivate to me to create or generate such kind of informative video, so that early career researcher, PhD students, master students, what kind of constraint, difficulty they are facing can be avoided, so that their paper will be published in Q1 journals without desk rejection, without several rounds of revisions, without APC. If you have not basically watched my video on APC, watch APC video. It will help you how to avoid the APC if you are submitting open access journal. APC is nothing but article processing chart. So for this video, thank you.